never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason to breathe.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Happy Monday to everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. And somebody please tell me that what I heard is not true, because I hope that nobody can be this stupid. We'll talk about that coming up here in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about some other things. First, let's start with the world of NASCAR. Yesterday from Kansas Speedway, we had the Hollywood Casino 400. It was race number 2 in the 10-race stretch for the 2023 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Championship. After next weekend's race, which will be race number 3, we will eliminate the bottom 4 drivers in the chase. So we'll go from 16 drivers competing for the title down to 12. But yesterday, Tyler Reddick comes home with the win, followed by Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, and Alex Bowman rounded out the top 10. Now, Martin Truex Jr. was the regular season champion, but so far in the first 2 races of the playoffs, he's been flat out awful. He's actually one of the bottom 4 drivers right now. So if today would be me talking about 4 drivers going home, he would be one of them. But there's one more race left, and he's less than 10 points out of 12th place, so he's still got a shot to advance. But Martin Truex Jr. has not had a top 5 at Bristol since, I think, 2012, and that's where they're going to be this upcoming weekend, because this Saturday night we have the Bass Pro Shops night race from Bristol at 7:30 this Saturday night on the USA Network. Of course, if you're a longtime NASCAR fan, you know the Bristol night race used to be in August. Now they've backed it up to September, but it is the end of the first round, and there are a lot of guys that might advance and might not, so it should be a very good race. So what a way to end the first round of the NASCAR playoffs. And I'm not really going to give a Braves report, because Braves have about 20 games left to go in the regular season. They're going to win the division by 15, 16 games. They haven't mathematically won the division, but they've pretty much won the division. But I will say that Matt Olson right now has 48 home runs, and the Braves' franchise record for most home runs in a season is 51 by Andrew Jones. Matt Olson right now is averaging about 1 home run every 3 games. So if he keeps up this pace, he'll get to 54. So he will break it. But he did just come through a stretch of, I believe, 13 games without a home run, and then he's hit like 5 in 6 games. So we just don't know if he'll get there or not, but it should be close either way. But even if he doesn't get there, Matt Olson's had an incredible season. And let's talk about the new college football AP poll that came out yesterday afternoon. Georgia is the number 1 team in the country, followed by Michigan, Florida State, Texas, and USC. Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Notre Dame, and Alabama are 6 through 10. Then we have Tennessee, Utah, Oregon, LSU, and Kansas State, number 15. Oregon State, Ole Miss, Colorado, Oklahoma, and North Carolina rounds out the top 20. And then we have Duke, Miami, Washington State, UCLA, and Iowa at number 25. Now, I said last week when I was talking about the AP poll that in my personal opinion, Florida State is the best team in the country right now. A lot can change throughout the season, but as of Monday, September the 11th, 2023, I still think Florida State's the best team in the country. But in one of the group chats I do where all we do is talk college football, I told them yesterday that in my opinion, Florida State is number 1. I think Texas is number 2, followed by Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan. That would be my current top 5 if I had an AP vote. But I mentioned here before the season started that I thought Texas would beat Alabama, and I also said that if Texas did beat Alabama, I just didn't see a loss on their schedule. I still don't. I was looking at it again yesterday just to try and find one, and I just don't see one. Now, there's a chance that Texas could play somebody and just have a hiccup and just all of a sudden forget how to score points, because they do have a great offense. But there is a chance that could happen, and if that happens, of course they're going to lose. But just glancing over their schedule, to me, they're just leaps and bounds, talent-wise, better than everybody left on their schedule. And back to what I mentioned at the top of the video, somebody please tell me that nobody can be this stupid. Something about this story still doesn't make sense to me. I'm still trying to read and catch up on it, but there was a rumor about 6 o'clock Eastern time yesterday that Mel Tucker had been fired by Michigan State. And then there was a rumor that he hasn't been fired yet. He's been suspended without pay until they finish the investigation. But supposedly he will, if not already official, he will eventually be fired and he will never coach another game for Michigan State. But the reason why I said please tell me nobody can be this stupid is because of the rumor on why I heard he got fired. Because if this is true and he got fired for this and he's this dumb, he should never coach again in history of the world, because you might as well get a sticker on your forehead and say, I am stupid, because this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And in case you have not heard about this, Mel Tucker is either suspended or fired or going to be fired by Michigan State because of an investigation on sexual harassment. But the dumb part is that supposedly sometime back during the summer, Michigan State brought a young lady in to basically talk to the school about sexual harassment. Well, when she got done giving her talk about sexual harassment, Mel Tucker walked up to her and sexually harassed her. If he's that stupid, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I always tell people this day and time, people have book smarts, but nobody has common sense. And that right there is another blatantly obvious example that you bring a girl in to talk about sexual harassment, and then as soon as she's done talking, you sexually harass her. That's just flat out ignorant. I mean, there's no other way to put that. You can't put that nicely. That's flat out stupid. But Mel Tucker's overall coaching record is 25-21, but his record at Michigan State is 20-14. And I mentioned here on the channel, I think even going back to last year, that Michigan State was going to regret the contract they gave him because the man's overall coaching record is just average at best. But he had one good year in 2021, and for whatever reason, Michigan State decided to give that man an almost $100 million contract for no reason. Now, I know a lot of programs give these coaches a raise like that because it's supposed to be a way to show your appreciation to them by giving them a huge raise, hoping they won't leave, and I get that. But if Mel Tucker had coached at 3 or 4 other schools and won at each of them, then you might think, well, if we don't give this guy a raise, he's going to leave. But he coached at one place before Michigan State, and it was for 1 year. So there ain't no school that's any good going to come to Mel Tucker and want to give him a huge deal for having one good year at Michigan State. And, of course, they do already regret giving him that contract, which is why they're trying to fire him with cause so that they don't have to pay him that almost $100 million contract. But the reason why I said this whole story doesn't make sense is because supposedly this happened back in June, and as soon as it happened, the girl told people, you know, what he said to her, but Michigan State is just now saying something. And that makes no sense, because if you knew about it 2.5, 3 months ago, you could have fired Mel Tucker then, and it would have gave yourself time to go find another coach. But now it's the middle of the season. You can't go out and find a coach. So they have named secondary coach Harlan Bennett their coach for the time being. He'll be taking over. But not only can you not go out and find a good coach, but now your players can easily come out and say, hey, I'm transferring. So what if next week you go from 85 players down to 40 players because half your team may either transfer or quit now that Mel Tucker's no longer there? If you would have done this back in the summertime when you first found out about it happening, you could have searched for a coach and you could have waited and seen if any players transferred or quit, so you could have replaced them. Now if they transfer or quit in the middle of the season, there's nothing you can do. You're stuck. So I don't understand why Michigan State didn't do anything about this when it first happened. Why do you wait 3 months until the season starts to say anything? But if the story on Mel Tucker's true and that's what he did, that man should never coach again because they're stupid. And then they're stupid. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What do you call a snowman with a six-pack? The abdominal snowman. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.